Welcome back to the studio. My name is Jaco. I've been in the trade for far too long, Demaya.
Yeah, it's been a while. It's been a hot minute.
It has. That is Demaya behind the camera. Say hello, Demaya.
Hey guys.
Our channel features what we do in the workshop, and we typically take a single piece and sort of run over what we've done and explain how we do it. We're not telling you what to do. We're sharing our experience to see if there's anything that we do that could help you. In the last video, we brought up the topic about tube settings.
We should do a video on that.
Tube settings? Lo and behold, people have spoken. So let me show you how to make a particular kind of tube setting that is so simple to set that anyone, and I mean anyone starting out, will be able to set this. Watch till the end, we'll show you exactly what we've done. We chose a peridot because we had a peridot. We start off by measuring the stone, and if you've got a different size of stone, that's fine. I'm dealing with a round stone, so take the measurements because they are important. I'm going to make this in silver because a lot of the people starting out are working in silver, and it's going to react quite nicely with the stone. Also the white versus the color stone, that's a nice contrast as well. Basically, we need to make two tubes, one sliding into the other one. I'm taking this piece of silver that I'm working with and I'm going to roll it down. So if you think about a tube thickness, I'm going to go with 1 millimeter, but the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to create two tubes. So I have to have 2.5 millimeter tubes that has a total of 1 millimeter. So I'm going to roll it out on the rolling mill down to 0.5 millimeters, and then from there onwards we can bend them around to the sizes that we need. To bend these round to find the diameter, you can just use a round flat plier and estimate it. You will develop your skills and you'll start estimating things a little bit more accurately the more you practice this. I'm using my ultrasonic as an acid bath. I've done this for a while now because I find that the product specific items don't actually, they require a lot of energy and electricity for use. And to be honest with you, placing a separate container with that same solution into an ultrasonic bath gets me a much quicker result as well. Get rid of the acid baths. Use your ultrasonic. You got one already. And if you don't, you probably need one.
Yeah.
It's like one of those that you can have a torch, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or a saw blade, yeah.
Or a beating heart.
Or a beating heart, yes. Make sure that your edges, when you're bringing the two parts together and they stick over, are in line. At least one edge is perfectly in line. You can use a pair of parallel jaws to ensure that. Obviously the solder point where they're going to be soldered needs to be as neat as possible, so possibly cut through over there. And also make sure that if you've got this side sorted out and you turn the circle like this, that this part is also flat. If you ensure to do all of these things beforehand, you're going to get a neater solder. If you haven't done it beforehand and you've soldered it, you're going to have to go back and work that into its shape. Once you've got the two tubes that fit into each other, they mustn't fall in and out, they must be quite tight. You can place your peridot with the face down on the table, take your tube, put it on top of it, and then squeeze it down all the way till the tube, the outside tube gets flush with the table. So we know the table of the stone is flush, and we know that the top of the first tube is completely flush, which means if you turn it around, you're going to have a stone sitting exactly flush with the top of the wall. I'm using a hard solder on the silver as usual. The very first solders I'm going to use are hard, and then from there onwards I'm going to step it down to medium. So the two tubes are soldered with hard solder, and the way I bring them together once I've soldered them into each other, I'm using medium solder. You pick all of that up, put it onto the soldering station, and drop your solder into it. Because it touches and because it's in tight into the other one, it holds very nicely. So once you've soldered that, you've already measured the first tube, so we know we don't want to go smaller than that. This piece that sticks out, just cut that off. The two tubes I've soldered with hard, and then when I brought them together I used medium, and then when I added the bail, which is coming next, I added that with medium as well. And just another tip, where I brought them together, the soldering marks for the tubes is where I'm going to add my bail. There's no point in leaving any imperfections on the open part that's exposed. It's not going to be coming open, but that's just good practice. And to be simple about it, because we're not making a piece for somebody else, we're really just making this piece to show you how to set. Really, this is a setting video. It's got nothing to do with the tube actually, but it helps to know how to make the tube. We decided to put a straightforward solid bail on this pendant. We use a half round and round plier to bend a piece of wire. I'm using about a 1.2 millimeter thick wire over here, so it has a little bit of substance.
What's the profile of the wire?
Round.
Fantastic.
There's two benefits to this. The round wire makes it easier for the chain to move through from the inside, and being thick enough I can flatten the top then, and what I'm going to be doing after I've flattened it is divide it in two and give it a knife edge. Considering we haven't got the stone in and we haven't folded the edges over yet, we have to consider the fact that if the edges are folded over already, halfway space would be from the point where the edge starts folding to the bottom. So somewhere in the halfway mark over there is where I want to add my bail. Closer to the bottom in this case. The reason I'm giving it a knife edge is you have a bail for a practical purpose, but at the same time if you have a flat bail, a flat surface facing forward, it takes some of the emphasis away from what you're trying to do, which is to show off this beautiful stone. So I'm going to angle the bail into a V shape on the outside, and it will have a rounded profile on the inside. And that angle actually takes the emphasis away from the bail. It's not as flat on the eye, and it puts it back onto the stone. I'm using shellac, which is something that if you heat it up, it becomes real soft to sink in the pendant. Then I'm using a tiny little burr just to make sure that once that shellac goes liquid and it comes up into the tube, I can push it down to create a little cavity for the stone. Wait for that to dry, and I'm going to show you how to set it now. Super simple, because we don't have to cut anything away. We already created the piece that will allow you just to set this. I'm taking the stone, placing it into this little setting that I've made. Lies down exactly where it needs to be. All we need to do now is fold a little bit of the edges over the stone. I do this on opposite ends, and you can use anything from this. I've seen people use toothbrushes. I often, with the platinum jewelry that I make, use the back of a plier. Can you believe it? I've also made little pushing setting tools out of various materials that I've used over the years, but I ended up with a plier. Can you believe it? In this case, I'm going to use a little setting tool that I made. Here's the thing. You don't have to push this all the way down onto the stone. You're just pressing it into a certain point. Go to the opposite direction and do the same. So we're folding it over. It's not touching the stone yet. Then go to the opposite side. So we want to do 4 quarters here. This section here and that section here. So you've got 4 flat areas now that you've set. That leaves us with another 4 smaller areas which we're going to attend to. Again, go to the first one and then to the opposite side. Now, every time you're pressing it down, you're just giving it a little bit of resistance from each end. If you go all the way down with this one, it might lift the stone. So you just want to tack it up touch it lightly this side, fold it lightly this side, do it on all 4 sides, and then the in-between parts, and then just join all of that together. So you equalize the whole thing. Then you've got plenty of little corners that you've got to get down. Once you've done all of this, you can then start looking at the gap between the stone surface and that little piece that you folded over, and you can bring that closer to the stone. Don't have to go flat onto the stone. In fact, I wouldn't recommend that you do. You just need it to get to a point where it touches. The stone's not going to come out, so it is secure. Some stones are softer than other stones, and they will break if you press too much on top of them. This is a video to show you how to start setting. We're not going to go to Jedi level now. I'm just going to explain to you how to get the stone in there. There are these little setting tools that you can buy to make sure that you round it nicely. There's a whole bunch of things we can do to really neaten it up. As a beginner, if you want to put a stone into silver or into gold, this is a good way of going about it. I seriously hope that you enjoyed this. Later on, when you get more comfortable, we can talk about burring away some of the material. Thank you very much for watching the video to the end. This video was made because of your comments, so please leave us some suggestions again in the comments. Like, subscribe, share, bell icon, love button. There's a love button, right? Thank you very much for all the support. See you next week. Cheers.
Bye.
If you like this kind of content, like, subscribe, bell item.
I do.
Item.
Hi, Tom.